Hi, this is Roland. Welcome. I want to make a special video for Christmas, and this is it. Today I'd like to talk about sacrifice. I want to talk about sacrifice, and maybe a good way for me to begin is by stating a very simple principle, and that is that in everything that we humans do, there is an exchange process. You exchange one thing for another, trade one thing for another. In nature, you see, for example, we take in oxygen and we give off carbon dioxide. We do work. When we do the work, we exchange energy we give our energy for what we receive from our work. You move a chair across the room, you expend energy, and you get the chair moved across the room. There's an exchange process. Plants take in carbon dioxide and sunlight, and they make something with it. Now, when it comes to human beings, there are even more subtle exchange processes going on. When you respond to someone emotionally, you become emotional. Energy is made available, and the other person often will take your energy. When you get angry, when you get excited, when you have any emotional reaction whatsoever to anything, to another person or even to an object, you bring up energy. And you lose that energy. You give it up. In other words, you literally sacrifice some of your life force, some of your energy for something. Now, of course, you can see that what I'm saying now casts a whole different pale upon, or gives a whole new look at what emotions are, and why we know that we shouldn't be so emotional. We know that kids are emotional. They're born first of the earth. They're little egos. That's the only way they know, is to be emotional. So it's not wrong. It's natural. But for we humans, we have to overcome, we have to outgrow, we have to mature beyond just the animal. What is natural for animals is not natural for humans, because we're different. We're both body and soul, part spirit and part matter. So different rules apply to humans. So we all know that we should outgrow our emotions. Little children are emotional, and we make allowances for that. We don't mind it. It's natural, it's innocent. But as we get older, we know that we should become calmer, more patient, more steadfast, that we shouldn't react. And when people react, we instinctively look down upon them for it. If you see someone in a sports match, a tennis match or something, and then you see him getting angry and throwing his tennis racket and acting like a big spoiled brat, you don't respect the person for that. We respect people that are calm, people who are self-controlled. Okay? Now, a lot of people are self-controlled on the surface because we know that we should be, and we know that it's better to be, and we know that people will not respect us if we're not. And it's important in the world of business, for example, to not be emotional and get all angry and so on. So we're calm on the surface, but underneath we're still reacting. So the secret for humans is to learn not to react, not to give up your energy. So what do you get in exchange for the energy that you give up? Let's put the subject of little children aside for the time being and just say that they are naturally emotional. It's natural, it's not wrong. And then let's talk about adults. Okay, adults are supposed to be calm. When you become emotional. What is it you're giving up some of your life for? And for what? For a high, for an ego boost, for a moment of judgment. You become angry and you judge another person for their wrong. Someone cuts in front of you while you're driving and you become angry, resentful, hateful. See? And you get a high out of that. Your ego is puffed up as you look down upon them, as you judge them for their wrong. You see what I mean? Or if someone caters to your ego, they praise you, tell you how wonderful you are, how nice you are. You know it's a lie, but you are uplifted by it. You absorb that. You absorb it, okay, and you glow with energy, which they can take from you, and they often will, because often people who pump you up, see, people who offer flattering praise to you and so on, those people are actually tempters. See, they've learned to tempt, and they get your energy for it. So they walk away with more energy, and you walk away. At the end of the day, you're drained. Now, why are you drained? Because first of all, you have not learned the self-discipline. All you've done is learn to react. And even if you're calm on the surface, you're reacting underneath. You not only react to people, but you react to things as if they were temptation objects. So you give up some of your energy. See? Now, how about, let's just take temptation, for example. So now can you see that the ego life is built upon reacting? By reacting, we grow. By reacting, we change. By reacting, we are stimulated. See? And like I said, it's natural for little children. Little children need challenges and little teases and the fun of jumping and climbing and tumbling and struggling and playing, and they need that. Okay? That's how they grow. But when you get older, then how do you grow? You don't grow physically anymore. You've reached physical maturity, so you grow what? As an ego, as a pride. You grow as a prideful being. Okay? Well, so you give up your energy for that, don't you? For the temptation, and then we use people as temptation. Even if they don't mean to tempt us, we use them. See? So, you give up what? You give up your life. So look carefully at temptation. Now let's look at the grosser forms of temptation there. It's very obvious. See? So what is this? Some kind of a spectacle. Some kind of entertainment, some kind of music. What is it? It's basically a temptation. Okay? I'm sorry. Okay? I don't mean to rain on your parade, but it is. See? Why should we be entertained by comedians or soccer players or football players or dancers or singers? Why should we need these tempting people to do silly antics on a stage or or run around in little uniforms and on the ball field, on the basketball court? Why should we need them to run around and play a silly game for which they receive a lot of money to distract us, to entertain us, to make us feel good? See, we shouldn't. Living in God's universe should be enough. To observe the magic of a leaf floating through the air. How does it do that? Of the wind, where does it come from? Of the warmth of the sun. How does the sun make you warm? See, the magic of light. You strike a match, and instantaneously, light bursts from the match at 186,000 miles a second. It doesn't need to build up speed. When you drive your car or ride your bicycle or go running, you have to build up speed. How does light instantly 186,000 miles per second? How does it do that? Okay. Actually, I kind of know how it does it, but I'm not going to tell you. Okay. What I want you to do is to see the mystery and the magic all around you. Not to mention your beloved family, the laughter of your children, the sweet little things, cute little things that they do. See? I could just sit and watch a little child play. I could just sit there and watch the little child play, and that would be all the entertainment that I would need. Okay? Well, I've made my point. So what are those things and their temptation to make us feel it's undeserved? See? If you resent your husband, see, what did Christ say? He said, if you're taking your gifts to the temple, bringing your gifts to the temple, and you realize that you have some issue with your brother, he said brother, he meant anyone, but you have issue with your brother, then leave your gifts at the temple door, he said, and first go make it right with your brother. Okay? Clear the air. Okay? And then come back. See? So before we watch sports, before we listen to music, okay, before we do any of that, we should put it also says in the Bible, put first the kingdom of God in his right way, and all other things will be added unto you. Was it Christ who said that, or Paul? I think it was Christ. First things first. You can't resent your husband or be impatient with your children or have a grudge against someone. See? You can't have that. And then go and watch a ball game and feel good about yourself. You see how it's what does it save you from? So what do these things do then, actually? The ball games, the shopping, the entertainment, the music, the marijuana, the alcohol. What does it do? It saves you from conscience. It saves you from God. It saves you from salvation. It robs you of salvation. It robs you of repentance. It robs you of right living. It robs you of eternity. See, eternity traded. See, who was it in the Bible that sold his birthright for a bowl of lentil soup? Remember that? And was it Faust who sold his soul to the devil for a moment's play, for a moment's high? You've heard about people. I once heard it's an unfortunate story. I'm not blaming this guy, but see, it was temptation and his overreaction. There was a story near where I live of an off-duty, it was either a security guard or police officer, I don't remember which, but anyway, there was some kid, a teenager, some teenager stole something from at the shopping mall, and he was running out. And people were chasing him. He stole it, thief. And this person, the security guard, or I can't remember which, well, he overreacted. And he chased the teenager. He pulled out his gun, and he took a shot at him, and he shot him and killed him. Well, his life is ruined. Of course, he took a life. But he also ruined his own life for a moment's mistake. See, his life is ruined. Or how about someone at the office, some dalliance, some flirt at the office, see? And eventually, one thing leads to another. A cup of coffee at coffee break leads to a lunch, and a lunch leads to something after work, and then what? Then something happens. A moment's pleasure. And then what? A lifetime of suffering. Okay? That's what's going to happen. You know it. Inevitable. The kids find out. They never forget what you did. Your partner finds out. Your life is ruined. Maybe your finances, but you can't undo it. For a moment's pleasure, you traded your life. So now you see the exchange process. When we become excited over anything or angry over something, you're giving up your life. If you bump into a chair, bump your knee on the chair and become angry at the chair or resentful toward the chair, for that moment of judging, see, you give up some of your life. Okay? So now do you see how a life of reacting emotionally, excitedly, resentfully to various temptations is you're trading your substance. Oh, and I never did get to what I was going to say. So our temptations, like our ball games, you notice how much money they cost? See? Our various Androids and iPhones and so forth, and everything costs money. You pay good money for these things. So not only do you give up your life and your time, but you give up money. See, you go to a ball game, how much does it cost? Go to a football game. It's very expensive, unless it's a high school football game. But see, even that, maybe that's not the greatest thing, but there could be a certain innocence in it. Maybe you're a parent and you go, and if you don't yell and scream, if you sit calmly, see, and watch the game, but without getting overly excited, well, and I can see you want to be there for your child who's playing the sport. See, so that's okay. See, and it doesn't cost anything. But why go to one of these professional games that are so expensive? Okay, so then your drugs, look how expensive they are. Your marijuana, your alcohol. All of these things, your vacations. Look how much money you pay for your vacation, and what do? You get drained of your money, see, and drained of your life. The people around there, they're professional tempters. They're there to get your money, see. And also there are thieves lurking around, aren't they? You go to some other country, to a nice hotel, there's thieves all over the place. So not only do you pay too much money and eat too much at their buffets and everything, not only that, but then people steal your money. They go into your room when you're sitting around the pool, and they take your iPhone and take your purse. See? And then you come back drained. See, so I'm not going to go into that more right now because I've gone into it in depth in some of my books and other videos. And now I want to talk about sacrifice. So sacrifice is to give up something. And we sacrifice our life, don't we, for what? For the approval of others, or for a brownie button, or for perks. See? You go to work somewhere, and usually they require you to give a piece of yourself, don't you? It's very difficult to go to work because so many places are filled with temptation. You go there and they want a piece of yourself. They want to own you. You marry someone, you find out that she wants to own you, or he wants to own you. It can be scary. Have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they want to own you. See? It can be scary. See? So there's a sacrifice. So you give something up. You give up your freedom in exchange for something. You give up your life in exchange for a moment's high. See? You give up your dignity in exchange for a moment's pleasure. See? So now can you understand what Christ said when he said, he who gains his life will lose his life. But he who loses his life for my sake will gain life. Okay? What does it mean by that? Well, what have I been talking about? I've been talking about the ego life. The life of getting high by judging other people, of being excited, of being angry, see, at things that tempt us, that make an offering to our ego. They pretend to worship us, see. People, object, we use objects to feel royal and glorious and great and smart, see, and proud. So you see how you exchange for all of those things, all of those moments of excitement, of pleasure, of undeserved, see, taking something you don't deserve. See, you trade something. Remember, there used to be people at the airports that would give away flowers. Some of these Hare Krishna types, I don't know what they were, but they had funny robes on, and they gave you a flower. See? Oh, and when they gave you the flower, if you got a little tiny high out of that, a little high, somehow, and then gave them money, see? But in that little high, The moment you get that little high, you feel a little obligation, don't you? Did you see how you feel a little obligation? If you go to a meal and the purpose of the meal is to flatter you, the purpose of the meal is to woo you, and you go, see, and then you eat the food at that meal. Do you see how it's harder to say no afterwards? See, they get what they want. See? So you trade something. You trade some freedom. Something you trade. Power. In exchange for that little ego boost that you get from it. See? Well, a life of those little ego boosts is the life that, then all you have then is the tatters of pride, see, and the animal life, which we share with animals, a life of reacting. See, it's normal for animals to react. For them, it's perfectly normal, but not for humans. So now can you see that Christ said, if you give up these little things, if you willingly, see, somebody looks at you funny, or somebody makes a little mistake, before you would have leapt to judge them. You would have absorbed what they did and remembered it, and so you could judge them. See? Even your own children. See? Watching for them to make a mistake so you can judge them. See? Other people. If you let that pass, or if somebody does something to you, maybe they do something untoward to you. They say something that's mean, or they borrow something and don't bring it back. You know, things like that. If you can overlook, make allowances for others. In other words, let it go. Let it go. See, that all of those things that formerly gave you a little high of being angry, resentful, let go of the resentment. Instead of resenting, just let it go. It's a sacrifice, isn't it? You're sacrificing that boost that you used to get. It's like passing by a box of chocolates. See, in the past, you would have eaten one, and then another, and then another. Now, see, without struggle, without resentment, you simply see that you really don't need it, and you let it pass. See, so a moment of letting undeserved pleasure, of letting judgment, of a moment of not absorbing and taking in others people's false praise, see, and so on. Just letting it pass. A moment, see, what you're doing is you're sacrificing that ego life, see, in exchange for eternal life.